about the barn door.
I'm excited.
Okay,
We're on?
Watch. Check. Oh, we're recording?
Hey,
Oh.
yeah.
Sorry. All right, here we go.
All right, gentlemen. Podcast shoes. You guys got good podcast shoes.
Podcast shoes.
Nikes and the classic Vans
Nice.
checkers. Nice.
Red, yellow.
That looks
red.
really good, dude.
Thanks, bro. Built that all by hand.
Nate, you comfortable?
It's like, I'm just playing.
Yes, it's
IKEA.
nice to be back on the couch.
You guys switch. This looks weird.
I like
nice
this
to be back on the
better.
couch.
I feel so much better on this side. Do you like your side?
I like it.
Nice.
It's nice and pink over here, dude.
All right, let's do this. 3,
Does it work with my under?
2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the No Roof
Hey,
Podcast. We
what's
are
up?
back. We are back.
Happy.
We have a great word today. I
it.
am Choo Choo. No, I'm Chaba.
You're Chaba. I'm Choo Choo.
Together we are Chaba Choo Choo.
Chaba Choo Choo. We got the
King Nate
rooster.
Rooster. We got Jackie Jack in the back. Jack, how we doing?
Good.
All right.
Jack. We love Jack. Jack.
We love Jack. Is Moo Moo here?
No.
Moo Moo's not here. All right, we're just going to dive into it. Before we
Let's
dive
get
into it, King Nate, what do we got to do?
Oh, hit that intro.
Let's hit that intro. Hey everybody, welcome back. We got another episode and we got another word that makes us, man, these last words that we've been doing are uncomfortable.
Savage.
Can I just say that?
Savage.
Yeah.
Like, I think we've all admitted that it gets a little shaky around
the
these words.
worst. It's the
Anxiety,
worst.
repentance. And so
It's good.
we have another word. All right. Who came up with this one?
I think it was me.
No, was it?
It was me. It was me.
I didn't come up with this one. No,
was me.
you said it.
I said
you.
it. But I was just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah,
you know
you
what I mean?
said it.
And I said, let's take the roof off excuses.
All right. Excuses.
Oh.
That is the word today.
Yeah.
Right? The word of the day is excuses.
Excuses.
All right. My God. All right. Let's just break this word down.
Come
What
on
is
now.
an excuse?
Come on.
Did you have the definition? Can I just? I don't
No,
know
wait,
the
share it first and then I'll hit the definition later. Because I feel like I say the definition and then it just kind of ruins the magic. So,
Well, I want to say, the more I've been thinking about this, I woke up this morning just like, you like fall asleep, wake up, fall asleep, and I just kept thinking excuses. And I'd wake up and be like, excuses are the worst, freaking excuses. And then I thought about, when we go play basketball,
Yeah.
and it's just an excuse for us to hang out. And I thought about there are good excuses.
Come on.
This whole podcast is just an
high
excuse.
five right now.
This whole podcast is just an excuse for us to fall more in love with each other, and get to know, so excuses aren't the worst thing in the world,
Right. Right.
You bring up a good point, Nate.
That's it.
I think
Thank you. That's
every
it. Let's wrap it.
word
That's episode.
that we have, you just brought up a good point. Every word I think we've done here, we always focus on the negative first.
Always.
Is that fair to say? That's not a good thing.
We did that quite a
Yeah.
bit, yeah. And that was a dilemma. Like the way it came up too was someone blessed us with dinner at this place that has like valet parking. So like I had to
not
go
Olive Garden.
Not Olive Garden, like yeah, close to Olive Garden, But I had to go and buy like a new not khakis. What are those called? Slacks from Old Navy. The ones that are kind of skin tight but not too loose. You know what I mean?
All
So I
right.
had to go and buy new those. I couldn't wear a normal shirt. I had to wear a collar shirt here. And guess what? I ate the steak and it filled me, which is like a 7-ounce steak. It was a real 7-ounce steak. Like it hit me hard, it was beautiful. Anyway, so the guy that took us there, it was safe to say he's successful because he paid for the whole thing. They actually, I think the goal was for them to give us menus without prices so we wouldn't be orphans. But mine had prices. And I don't even want to tell you how much the steak is. Like, I don't even want to tell you. It was just a lot. And so I'm eating the steak, and as I'm eating it, I'm like, I want to ask this man, how is he affording to do all this? So I was like, what made you so successful? And he's like, I don't let excuses stop me.
Dang.
And I said, what a manly thing to say, and I just kept eating it. But then I thought the same thing. Excuses isn't a bad, I literally, if I burp, I say, excuse me.
That's
I had to go pee in the middle of this thing,
That's true.
And I was like, excuse me. So I was like, is excuses really a bad thing?
What does dictionary say? What did the dictionary say?
The dictionary. So then I was like,
Yeah, what did Google say? I'm really curious now.
I was like, excuses isn't a bad thing. So why do bosses, why does your leadership in the army, it was, I don't want to hear your excuses.
Right.
No excuses. I'm not here to hear your excuses. Give me results. And I was like, how can they both have two different meanings? So Googled it. The first one says to show manners and be polite.
Wow,
right?
it's actually a good one.
Which is a beautiful thing. Like if I burp right now, excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? The other word, though, is to justify why something wasn't done.
To justify.
To put blame on something else.
Okay. To put blame on something else.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I just want to let you know.
Yeah. This is where it gets quiet. Who's going to go first?
So
Well, which one would you like to take the roof off? Do you want to go down the this is like a choose your own path book, you know?
Yeah.
You want to go down the
Well, I think
polite one or
let's go down the second one real quick.
which one?
The blame one, because we've all
blame
done
one.
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I was thinking about this weekend. So like I got really busy with something I had to do, and like I didn't do it. And like at the end of the day, I was like, "What was my excuse?" Can I
Yeah.
just be honest with you?
Yeah.
I just chose to be lazy.
Come on.
Like I was just be honest. Like and that was my blame. Was
Yeah.
like I couldn't put it on anyone but me. But it was like I sat in bed. And I was like, I'm not moving.
Nice.
I could have moved.
Nice.
I could have had a great time. And it probably made my life a lot easier right now. But like for me, it was like, my blame was I chose to be lazy.
Come on.
So I don't know.
Well, go ahead. I was gonna say, how did you respond to that? Now that you know what it was, what?
Well, I know for me, it stirred up something inside me. Like this has to change. Of like,
Why though?
because it didn't bring life at the end of the day. I didn't feel more energy at the end of the day. I felt actually less, I won't say dead, but I didn't, you know what I mean? It's like,
I know what you mean.
Like, I feel like I missed out on life. I think there it is.
missed
I
out.
missed out on life.
Come on, high five.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where when I'm in like this excites me. I'm doing life with you guys. After when we're done, I feel so invigorated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where I feel like I missed that opportunity with those things I had to do.
Come on.
And so I didn't feel alive. I just
on.
felt like a bum. And like, I don't know. It's like I missed out on life.
Come on.
Does that make sense?
No,
That's
I got the picture. I was there with you. I've been there, you know. And I was talking with Jackie about this beforehand. We oftentimes brag about how busy we are.
Yeah.
Like, as if it's something really cool
Yeah.
to talk about. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying to you, but I'm saying like, when you're saying like, you know, how I was busy with something, I had to do that. And I was like, I talk about it all the time. Like, I can't do this because I'm so busy. And I like
Right.
look you in the eyes and be like, I'm so busy.
Right.
And you're like, you are very busy. And it's
killing
like,
it.
good job. Here's your badge of busyness.
What a man.
Like we get brownie points for being busy. And it's like, why? There's nothing sexy about being busy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just thought about that because oftentimes I will like use that as an excuse.
Come on.
Because I've done so much, or I'm like, it's kind of like you know when no, I think it's in like Luke. Jesus is inviting people to the banquet,
Yeah.
and he's like, I made this banquet, I invited you. Like sends a servant out to go say, hey, like let's go eat. It's time, the food's ready, and they're like, oh, I just bought this field, or oh, I just got married, or I just bought this ox, I want to try it out. And he's like, all right, go in the streets, get everyone. It's like they missed out on such a beautiful thing because
Right.
they're so busy. They couldn't even,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, even when you think about Jesus, think about the one where the guy wanted to follow him, and he's like, "I got to go bury my father,"
yeah.
and he's
Go
like, "Let
bury
the
my
dead bury their home."
My dad.
I thought about that. I thought about you though, Abel, because it was like the one right after that. What did he say to the person right after that? He was like, "Oh, if anyone who puts their hand in the pile and looks back is
Don't
not fit
look
for the
back. It's
kingdom."
not fit for the
I
kingdom.
thought about you because I think the last time we were here, you kept talking about the now, like embracing,
Embracing the now.
and it's like,
Yeah.
I think that's a big one.
I think for me, it was like the minute he did that, right? That was a Saturday. Oh my God. And that's when everything had flooded. So like I had to come on my day off and like I was on the roof, my feet were, I was just so sad. And he's talking about, I never let excuses stop me. And the next day I had so many good justifiable reasons why to show up late, to not come, to actually maybe take another day off in the week, you know? Cause I'm like, I was here on my day off. Like I'm justified to do it. And God was like, oh man, it's not about how much you can get done. It's about life.
Yeah.
You know, and then he was like something, and it's really crazy because then it's Monday, you know, and I show up and I'm like, there's so many things on my list, like so much busy things on my list. And I realized my list wasn't getting smaller because I kept making excuses for each one.
Yeah.
And then one very specific one was I had to replace some tile and I did not want to do it because the ladder was on the other side of the building. And I was like, I don't want to get it. You know, I was like, and God was like, this is such a great excuse. Great reason justifying why not to do
Wow.
this. And I was like, whoa, God, relax, bro. So then I was like, I wonder how long it's going to take. It took me 2 minutes to go from one side of the building to the other side to grab the ladder, come. And then I just was like, well, if it worked for that, like, let me keep doing it. I got everything done on my to-do list in that week, done in like, I'm not going to lie to you, before lunch.
Wow.
And I had so much fun doing it. But it had nothing to do with, I can't believe I got it done. Look at me. I have such a great behavior. But I love the clarity that I felt on getting things accomplished.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah, too much sense. I actually, not exactly like that, but I went in, I think last week or a couple weeks ago, and just getting more and more responsibilities added to my plate.
Yeah,
and thank God, I
true.
feel like I've been so trusted, and like it's an honor to be here to do that stuff.
Beautiful.
Seriously, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And so like I go into the week and I see a lot of it as worship. And so I go and I'm like, boom, 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 and I try and get, and I got all my to-do list knocked out. I send an email to people and I'm like, here's everything I've done, here's the thing I'm working on. And it was like, at the end of the day, I was so like I just wanted to eat icing or like eat a cup. It was like I was so empty and like I was hoping that if I turned my heart off and just like worked really hard,
or your emotional stuff.
Yeah. If I just did it, then there would be some joy I would get from getting all this stuff done. And like the fact that I got all that stuff done was an excuse for me to check out as soon as it was all done. And so when I went home, I was looking for things that would make me feel better, looking for things like whether it's eating or whatever. And it's like, it was like I was killing myself to get that stuff done so I could have the excuse to like check out, like you said, like be lazy or whatever. Yeah. It's like, well, I work so hard so I can go home and kind of like just escape or go home and whatever. Right. And it's not like there's no shame. Like if that's what you do, there's no shame in that. I actually called Alex and was like, hey, I feel like eating a lot of cupcakes or something. He's like, that's good. He's like, that's good. It's like that you're aware of it. But like I needed someone to help me because I was like, I don't know why I'm doing all this good stuff, but I feel terrible. And it's like sometimes doing all that good stuff actually gives you the excuse to like not be present. Or like, you know, I think about in school, like when I had an excuse absence, it was like you had permission to not show up. And it's like I can come home and give myself permission to not show up as a dad. Come on. Give myself permission to not show up as a husband. Come on. It's like I worked so hard today, you know, it's like I have permission to just do nothing, whatever.
Come on. That was beautiful.
It's good.
Chava, what are you thinking?
No, I mean, there's so many, this word is so dynamic. I mean, there's a good one, there's a bad one. And then like, I know for me, I think it's just everyone has this word differently. So like you're busy, where like for me, I feel like I'm kind of the opposite. Where like some people are, let's face it, don't know how to say no. Yeah. I'm so good at saying no that I might be doing it too much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
like
you could teach a master's class.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so I think hearing everyone, it's really like, it's the excuse of really, is it obedience, obeying what he's saying, or is it the excuse of really doing the will of God? Yeah. I think it's owning the new you. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's where I think you kind of have to look at it. Because we were talking earlier where you can be so busy that you become, what's that word we said?
Oh, codependent.
Like codependent. Yeah. Or you become so codependent on someone, right?
Take the roof off.
You take the roof off.
No, you take it off.
I have no idea.
What does codependency mean?
What is codependency?
I think that's us.
But I like us.
We might need a guess for that word.
No, yeah, for sure. No, at least when I took some classes, some Danny So classes, some of the things that he would explain was like, I depend on you. Like, and you depend on me. Like, I'm only, like, if you're not doing well, I take it as my own thing to fix or to you know, like, let's say your car breaks down. It's like, I have this thing inside of me. Like, I can't separate that's not happening to me or whatever. It's probably not the perfect definition,
that's
but
really good.
In my life, how I've seen it manifest is like, oh, my sister's having this problem. So now it becomes my problem and I have to fix it. And it's like, and I care about your problem more than you do. So I'm sitting here thinking, no, I have to help you. And you're like, I don't even care that I have this problem. You're like, no, wait, you have to. And it's like, I become a place where it's like, I'm unhealthily taking responsibility for something that's not mine.
Because in that arena, that word excuses can get perverted. Yeah. You know, of like, don't give me an excuse, where it's like, what do you mean? Like you said, if you're working with someone that, you know, doesn't care about the problem more than you and it's their problem, that's not a good sign.
That's right.
Game,
that's right.
Yeah,
I love that. And I thought about it this way because like, so I called Pastor Leslie, you know, to like get her perspective because I'm like, how do I know? I need a healthy balance, right? Like if you guys know me, my wife, Jack, she'll testify. I'm a big extremist, right? It's like I'm gun ho all the way.
Yes,
like
you are.
we're gonna do basketball. I'm gonna get a coach. I'm gonna change
dude.
gyms. I'm gonna show up every single day for 4 hours.
You were
play.
watching women's NCAA.
Women's NCAA
March Madness.
March Madness, just
the
because
fundamentals.
of the fundamentals that they do. And then, I mess up and I'm like, how was my pick and roll? How was this? How was that? So I'm a big extremist. So I could have taken that word, the excuses, to a whole nother level of like, I'm just going to get everything done. But like you said, codependent, like I would start caring more about other people's problem, getting it done. So anyway, so I called Pastor Leslie. It's really good to have a person that has an outside perspective to be like, to balance you out, right? And this is the best thing I got from her was really, it's getting a clear pathway to accomplish whatever it is that you need to accomplish with God.
It's good.
And so I'm going to be real with you. Bad leadership is going to be like, don't give me excuses and walk away.
Right.
A great leader, and we did this in John Maxwell, has great vision, great communication, has the big picture, and helps you get out of autopilot. Right. So John Maxwell was able to actually show up, or if you're a good leader, you get to be like, oh man, that's why it didn't get done. Let's sit down together and analyze why it didn't get it done. But let's also come up with a plan so we can get there eventually. So to me, that's actually really beautiful because now you're making a clear pathway to accomplish whatever the actual goal is, right?
All right. It's time to make the turn inward now. You guys ready?
Yep.
I'm turning this in. I know all your prophetic words. You know my prophetic words. Can we be honest about where are we making excuses?
We should do impressions of each other. Do impressions of each other of our excuses.
Okay, let's do it.
No. I just mean like I'll even go with me. Like Nate, you're called for the nations. You're warrior chief. We have all these prophetic words.
on.
I'm called for this.
I'm sweating.
And I'll be honest with you. I've been making excuses for stepping out when I'm at grocery stores.
Dang.
Like praying for people. Like I'll be all about me and I'm making excuses because I'll be honest. My thing is I'm uncomfortable, but I know it's His will. I know it's His will, and yet I'm still not doing it. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Because I think let's go inward now.
All right, let's do it.
Let's get forward. I know for me, and then even talking with Nate, I have these dreams of like certain music and songs, and so him and I have getting together now, and we've started something.
Yeah.
Like we started something. I had an excuse to meet, not this week.
Wait, this week we're gonna.
All right, I can't do this week.
Okay.
Sorry.
Cut it.
Cut it. Yeah. Nate's got to talk to me. But I think when it comes to, I think you said about we each have these words. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, what are your hiccups if you were to think about it? Like, Nate, I know you as a musician. I know you as so many things. You have a lot on your plate. You're called for the nations. Look at
Yeah, come on.
right. I have entrepreneur over here.
Yeah.
I have Mr. Warrior Chief. Like, your guys' prophetic words are on my wall. Like, are there any?
Yeah.
Can we talk about it?
Let's do
Yeah,
it. Let's
I
talk about
guess.
it. But I think let's talk about it from the place of like, how can we get a clear pathway to the thing that we need to do?
I like it.
Because that's a powerful person, right?
is.
It's like the excuse happened because we didn't have a clear vision or a clear direction or a clear pathway to get there.
There it is.
But instead we go different route and we're like, I'm just going to punish myself because of yada, yada, yada. And that's the prophetic word you gave me is I'm unpunishable.
Yeah.
So I'll kick it off. My unpunishable word, I was making a barn door, right? Like a sliding barn door. The way they built my house was this huge opening. Like it was ridiculous. Like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I might be rich. Like my house isn't worth, but I'm rich because I have this giant pathway. Now that I was trying to giant walkway. Now that I'm trying to build this barn door, it's freaking 4 feet wide minimum, right? Where most are like 2 feet. It's 4 feet wide minimum, and it's like 8 feet high. So I had to trim it down from 8 feet to 6 feet just to like get it all mounted, and it took over a week. And I couldn't sleep at night, rolling in my sleep, thinking about I can fix it, I can get it done, I can get it done. So I was taking this clear pathway into a big extreme. I was like, I can't sleep until I get it done. And I finally, get it done. I cut it. You showed up when I was cutting it out in the back. And the moment that you showed up and cut it, I was cutting and I made one little mistake. And I said, screw it. And I just ran the saw as fast as I could. And because I was just so mad that happened, and I was trying real hard not to punish myself, but I self-sabotaged myself because I just went right through it.
Got you.
And now that it's all, I framed it, did everything that I wanted on it. Now it's tilted 5/8 of an inch, like 5/8. Like you don't understand how small. If you would get your thing out, your tape measure out, it would be 5/8 of an inch, and it causes it to look tilted. And I was looking at it yesterday after all this work that I put in it. I'm looking at it and I'm like, throw it in the trash. Just grab it, throw it in the trash. I was just so mad. I was like, babe, spend $3,000 on a new door. I don't care. Like, get rid of this thing. And I wanted to punish myself. And I don't even know where I was going with this, but that's just, it happened last night.
You brought up something, though, which I have to say I'm very proud of, though. You went through it. Yeah. I think now hearing your story, I think my excuse is I'm afraid to mess up, hearing you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Just to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, just to be honest with all you.
Yeah.
I feel like, I think what my biggest thing, because I highlighted while you said your story is, wow, Ralph is not afraid to mess up. I'm afraid to mess up.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm really afraid to get dirty.
That's good.
So I think I'm going to say that for me.
Tell me.
I think especially when it goes to praying for people and doing certain things, I don't know what it is about this whole perfection thing, or
perfection.
I don't think I have it. Look at me. I don't know. You know?
You're hot, bro.
But I think with certain things, I may have I'm afraid to fail kind of mentality, which can, like with that barn door, if that were my project, dude, I would have spent like a month just looking at it.
Yeah.
Just looking at the piece of wood. Yeah. Like, just to be honest. So I'm very proud of you that you did that. Honestly,
thanks,
if I would do that
Robert.
project, dude, I wouldn't even, I'd be still at Home Depot like, might be the wood.
Yeah.
I'd be so procrastinating, afraid to mess it up.
Come on, Chava.
That would be me. That's my struggle.
That's so good. And that was hard with my prophetic word of unpunishable, because it was like, at the end too, my wife was like, we can buy the $2,000 door if you want. Not that we have the money for it, but I was like, we'll do it. I'll sell this house and get the barn door. But at the end, I was just so glad that I finished it.
Yeah.
I was just so glad that I finished it. And this is the beautiful part. It's you have to be vulnerable when it comes to these places, because you can't do it by yourself. You need this outside, which is what you're doing for us right now. Like, let's go inward with each other. Because when you go inward by yourself, you just start criticizing yourself and nitpicking yourself. Yeah. So I went to Pastor JR, he's built literally homes. And I was like, here's the finished product. And honestly, I hate it. And he was like, you're off by how much? And I'm like, 5/8 of an inch. And he's like, does it stand still or does it ride down? And I was like, stand still for the most part. He's like, I'm so proud of you. Oh, okay, I can't cry. I'm not going to cry. He was like, I'm just so proud of you. And he's like, you did it. It's your first door.
Wow.
And it just, and I think you're right. Like, I think we make excuses.
Give me a pen. That's a motto. Did you finish your first door?
Did you it hit me, because it was like,
gosh,
I was so hard on myself when other people were like, do you see the journey that you went on?
Wow.
Did you see that you finished it? Where a lot of us are like, I'm just not even going to start because
it's not going to be perfect.
It's not going to be perfect.
Because it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah, so somebody else talk, please, because
man,
my heart, man. Go ahead.
I know for me, I would say, I'm afraid of failure, which is why I don't. But I think practically what it looks like is I'll make a big prophetic word as small as possible, so that's manageable.
Oh,
and so then you guys see me as like this thing that I don't see myself as. So you'll be like, oh, this is the next Rick Rubin, this is the next, and I'm
without a doubt.
I'm like, I can't even do drums on a beat, or whatever. And I hold on to like what my capabilities are, or I try and make it smaller. Of like, if I could ignore the fact that, I'm called to the nations or whatever, then it's like, it's easier for me to manage things. If I can make it small, then it's like,
wow,
okay, cool. It's like, this is like fun size. I can handle this word, more. It's more manageable. I don't do like consciously, but a lot of times you'll remind me, or someone will come pray me like, just like God's saying this. I'm like, yeah, he's been saying that for years. So you're late. But I identify so much. I was looking at all right, I was trying to stay naked. I'll try and stay vulnerable. But let me just say,
come on.
I identify a lot with Gideon.
Yeah.
I identify a lot with Moses.
Wait, which one was Gideon? Because I was confusing with Samson.
Oh, and
Gideon,
Judges.
Gideon was, one of the judges. He was, when all the wars were going on, he hid.
Yes.
And he was trying to explain to God, hey, listen, like, I'm nothing.
Yes.
I'm literally, you don't get it. Like, I'm nothing.
He was hiding in the wine cellar.
Yeah, and he was like, all right, well, then if I am, and he had like asked for all these signs, and I identify so much with that, and it's like, and God's so sweet, and he gives me all this like confirmation, but even like with Moses, all these different people, I'm like, there's so many times in the Bible, I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's like I stutter, whatever. It's like, it seems like I'm the wrong person, and you actually see in the Bible like God's like getting frustrated with Moses. He's
Yeah.
like, dude, come on, man. Like, I made your mouth.
Yeah, I am. I'm the I am.
For sure. Like, I made your mouth, you sucker. So I don't know. For me, I get in a lot of those places where I'll give God excuses. I'll give you guys excuses. And I'll make it super small so that I can just manage it better.
Wow.
Like, well, I don't know.
That's good. That's good, Nate.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or I think that, and then also trying to do it without God is a big reason why it doesn't really work. It's not fun. Like, one of my prophetic words in my life is like, I'm a joy boy, like God's a joy boy. Like my mom, I think, was induced in labor because she was laughing so hard. And so from that point on, I was like God's joy boy. And like, he'll tell me about that. And I'll literally go and try and be a joy boy without him. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like, I'll go around and be like, da, 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 da. And it's easy with dimples, but like inside, it's not fun. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I don't know, just like learning all those different things of like actually how to walk out some of these prophetic words. It's impossible to do it's impossible to actually walk about unless you really embrace it, like Moses, like Gideon. Where it's like,
you gotta own it.
Right. Like, I suck. No. But really, like, you have to own the grace that comes with it. If he's telling you to do something, there's a grace that comes with it, which means that you can't. Or sorry, not you guys.
Take the roof off grace.
The definition that I was told from Pastor Barry is God's willingness to use his ability on your behalf.
Yeah.
There's another beautiful definition, though, that I hear other people talk about, and it's like mercy. The difference between mercy is like, mercy is if I'm doing something bad, but mercy is I actually have the ability to look you in the eyes or look God in the eyes. There's mercy. But grace is actually transform how I see so I can see what you see. Like I can see how God sees things. Either way, grace is, for me, what I've experienced that I miss it a lot is grace is God is asking me to do something I cannot do.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's inviting me to walk on water, and I'm like, okay, sit right here, God.
Yeah.
I'll go really
That's
fast.
so good. That's so good.
And it's like, then you try to make excuses because your logic says you can't walk on water. So, well, you know what? I'll put my feet on the water while I'm still on the boat. And that's what I do a lot with music. That's what I do a lot with even pastoral stuff and ministry stuff. It's like, I can't do that, but I can put my feet on the water while I'm still on the boat like this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, you make these compromises like, well, I'm still walking on water. And it's like, no, you're not, but your feet are wet.
Wow. That's so good.
You said something I think is so good, Nate. And I think it goes across the board. And you said sometimes we so like to rest on what we're capable of.
Come on.
And that's what keeps us kind of in the boat. That kind of the foundation of the excuses. We rest on our capability. Like even Gideon, right? Like he wanted to rest. Moses, I have stutter. It's my capability, where we take it to the New Testament where we've been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but Christ lives within me. So are we resting on him or are we resting on us?
Right.
And I think you really don't know until you go through it.
Yeah.
Come on. Flip the tape.
Flip the tape. All right, we're back.
Capabilities, though.
Capabilities, though, right?
Yeah.
Because I think, too, is like the trouble with the bad version of excuses is you never know what you're capable of until, like, you try. You try and do it. Like, I wonder what my second barn door is going to look like. Not that I want to go through that again because, like, I'm tired, But still, it's like, I can't wait until someone else is like, I'm trying to build a barn door. And I'm like, oh, well, let me tell you my mistakes. Let me tell you the good stuff that I did, the bad stuff that I did, how much money I spent in on it, the tools that I got. Oh, do you need that tool? Here's the actual practical tool of my experience, but also you need an air gun. Like, go get an air gun, But you never know that until
you go through it.
And I think a lot of us don't want to go through it.
Yeah.
But I also feel like we're conditioned to be like, don't go through it. Be comfortable.
Or I think the big one is later.
Or later.
I think that's always the big one. At least for me. Okay. This is just
going
me.
Inward.
I always,
Go inward.
I've been such a chicken sometimes, and I'll use this. It's not the right season. I'm just gonna admit that.
Take the roof off.
What?
Do you know what I mean? No, just anything. Sometimes it's just like music and stuff. And I'm like, now's not the time.
Yeah.
And God's like, it was time last year, Bubba.
Yeah, for sure.
Like just with certain things, and like this is where like I have to go to. And like God told me, He's like, you have Nate. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
But even that, I was scared to even approach you with some of my songs. Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
Like I was scared, but going through it caused things in my heart that I didn't realize that were there. Wow, I have a fear of man.
Yeah.
Because like Nate's a better musician than me. He sees things I don't see things. So even like showing them like, okay, now we can deal with this. Nate, here's my stuff. You know, and come on, he's so nice and so gentle. But it's just interesting, like you said, until you go through it. But then you have that opportunity to. And I know for me, I if you ever use that one, now's not the time.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've done that. I've done that. Just
that's good, Chava.
Yeah.
Even like I think I used it last week. I was at Food Lion, and I saw someone walking. Today's not the day. Literally, I just said that. Yeah. And like, I know in my heart of hearts, that was not God speaking.
Yeah, for sure.
Come on, yeah.
No, that's
so,
good.
just being honest.
That's good. That's really good, Chava. Thanks for being honest.
Procrastination can look so sexy sometimes. Like we can make procrastinating sound so noble.
So
like,
noble.
You know, but you gotta understand, I got a wife, she's got a kid on her in her belly, and that it's like you go with so many things. But those are legit things, but it's like, you can hide behind such things.
Yeah.
So easily. Sorry, I wasn't saying me.
Same.
No, I've done that. What you just said.
So what?
I hide behind it.
So what do we do? Go home?
Honestly, I think you brought up a good point about God, right? And I think the importance of having God in us and Holy Spirit's in us is that the way that he operates in my life is he's like, I have the giant picture. I have the whole shebang, right? If we look at the Bible, even before Adam and Eve messed up, he already had a plan, and it was Jesus.
Yeah,
and if you were to read the Bible from the beginning all the way until Jesus shows up and what he does afterwards, it's thousands and thousands of years that happens. And God used every little relationship to get there. I was listening to a preacher, and he talked about how every woman in the Old Testament, their goal wasn't just to have a baby for the sake of baby. They wanted it to be the baby that God had promised Adam and Eve to slaying the snake. And it was really interesting because like Adam and Eve have a baby, and they have two. It's Abel and Cain, and then one gets banished, the other one gets killed. And now they're like, well, how are any of these, not you, Chava Chuchu, you're going to live in the name of Jesus, come on. but then, the perspective from Eve is like, God, what happened to my promise? You said my kids, the seed from my womb, my kids are going to destroy the snake, destroy Satan.
Wow.
And now they're gone. Mm-hmm. And then so then Eve dies, and then, there's a whole family, and then they have a relationship, and then have another seed, and then have another, and it just keeps going. And so finally Mary shows up thousands of years later, and then has the actual son, which is Jesus, that slain Satan. But to me, I love listening to that because I'm like, God is so much bigger and so much smarter than everybody here, but works in the small things all the way down to relationships.
Yeah.
Right? And so for me, it's like, if he can work that big, then God's like, the first step is for you to lay in bed, pull up Pinterest.
Wow. There it is.
And I'm like, nah, like how is Pinterest supposed to help me build the barn door downstairs? Like I need the railing system first. I need this. And then next thing you know, the more I do my research, the more that God's like, okay, now go on YouTube. Okay, now call Pastor JR.
The vision's growing. You can see it
The
now.
vision is growing. The vision is growing. The vision is growing. But even when you have the whole vision together, it means nothing unless you're willing to go out there and try it.
So, okay.
Bless you.
God bless you, Jack. So what I'm hearing,
Jack.
and I think this is that something just popped in my head from Ephesians 2 in the message. But so the foundation of excuses is unbelief, is it not?
Ooh. Take the roof off unbelief and belief?
I'm procrastinating because I don't believe in the word that God put in me.
Ooh.
I don't believe in the prophetic word that he's spoken over me. I'm in unbelief. And I was thinking about Ephesians 2, if you read it in the message, because really excuse is just disobedience. And in the Message translation, it says it beautiful. It says, before we were saved, how our minds were alienated and all that. It's either Colossians 2 or Ephesians 2, but it says, I inhaled unbelief and I exhaled disobedience.
Yeah.
So whenever we're in unbelief, we will make excuses and disobey. Where if I'm fully believing, I'm going to build barn doors. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to step out. I'm going to make mistakes. So I think the foundation is, we kind of talked about last time, I don't have enough truth. You built truth by looking at Pinterest. You saw the wall, you could see it. It started going, hope started coming alive. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, step one, we are going to Home Depot tomorrow. Or I don't know if, depending where you're at, right, with your vision, with your prophetic words, have you spent time, okay, this is what it looks like. I know for me, going to California, these songs, worship songs, came alive that I've had forever, and I started playing them, and then like same thing. I started seeing certain things, but the first thing God showed me was Nate, and like that was like the hardest one. I was like, that means I got to show it to him.
Yeah. Oh.
But sure enough, but when I stepped out to do it, Nate was able to look at it and breathe on it, and now it's come so alive, and like now I could taste it.
Yeah,
I could taste it now. But I think I had to have the belief had to grow first.
Yeah.
So I think you're onto something about the seeing it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the
tasting
growing
it,
the truth.
the
I like how you said
imagining, the believing, the just getting the vision, and actually, I think that started it. Not that it looked exactly like that,
Exactly.
but it caused me. You ready for this? Nate, you love this. It caused me to actually do something.
Come on.
Do it. It caused me to actually go, Nate, are you free Tuesday?
Yeah. And be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And there it is.
No, it's powerful. Goodness gracious.
We're going to say.
No, I just was enjoying. Honestly, like I'm just enjoying you guys talk. I think the one thought I had while you were talking was that I just think about excuses being
good.
Like a giving me permission to not be present.
To not be present.
So if I have an excuse,
that's good, Nate.
like if I have an excused absence, I have permission to not be present. Or like for us playing basketball, like when we go, you'll ride down to Springfield and play with Luke. It's like I have permission. So I have an excuse. I have permission to be present with you. You know, it's like, oh, we just have an excuse to hang out.
That's
you
good.
know?
Wow.
And it's like, so permission to be present or not be present. That's how I see excuses. Just when you're talking. So when that clicked in me, it's like, I don't know, with my prophetic words or even just the word, like you talk about, like fully embracing the word. Sometimes it's not like we need a new word. It's just like, we know that we're his masterpiece, but what does that look like to fully embrace being his masterpiece? And we know that, you know, we can't fail, but it's like, what does it really look like?
Yeah.
You know, to fully embrace that. And sometimes there's a difference between like knowing and actually fully embracing it. And so anyways, I was just thinking about that. What does it look to actually fully be present with God in those words, or in those prophetic words, or in His word? Is like, which I think of one He's been challenging me in recently.
Oh, that's so good.
But yeah, but even talking about what you did with Pinterest is like, you weren't there trying to make your barn door happen. You were there being present with God. And He was like, oh, let's go on Pinterest or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
And being present with Him became the fruit of that. Or even with, but even sometimes, no, we don't have to go.
Come on, go for it. Come on.
This is what I found is that even being giving myself permission to be present with myself and saying like, what is it that I'm genuinely afraid of? And like going down that road of like being honest enough with myself to say, because sometimes we will make an excuse and look at the top layer, but not get down to the root of what's really going on.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, you know, I'm just busy. And it's like, no, you are busy, but like you're intentionally being busy so you don't have to do this.
Right.
Why are you avoiding it? And look at, oh, well, I'm actually afraid of, you know, what if I'm not enough?
Yeah, it is.
Then if you don't get to that root, then you'll never be able to actually address like, okay, there's a lie that I'm fully embracing where I could be fully embracing the truth.
Wow.
That is so good.
I'm giving permission, like Pastor Gavin talked about the squatters a while ago, like the, oh no, I'm a cannibal talk. And he was like talking about by not occupying that area, you give someone else permission to come and squat and take illegal residence in. And so it's like by not occupying that, by fully embracing the truth there, then I'm embracing a lie saying, okay, you can sit there. Yeah, I'm terrified of not being enough. And like that will affect my music, that will affect my ministry, that will affect our relationships, you know? And then it's even, anyway, it gets so much worse though, because then we will miss a day in the studio and it's like you reconfirm that like, this feels good, like taking a break or whatever. It's like, yeah, dude.
That's good.
It doesn't feel good to die on a cross. It doesn't feel good to be the first one through the law. It doesn't feel good. Like God almost is like, oh, you know, we don't be really great for, like, you know, like it wasn't like what kind of vacation could you use? Like there has to be something that like you have to be willing to lay down, like actually lay down.
Love that.
It's good.
Well,
man.
I was reading the story about Moses and Exodus, you know, and I was spending time with the Holy Spirit, and I was like, "What do you want to read?" And he's like, "Let's read in Exodus." And I already saw the movie. Like, I don't need to read Moses, anything about Moses. And he was like, they missed some stuff. So I was like, cool. So I sat down and I started reading it, and man, like Pharaoh's oppression and like, you want to talk about being uncomfortable? The way that Pharaoh treated the Hebrew people out of fear was very, very, very bad. But the Hebrew people multiplied and grew in the middle of being oppressed, of literally being slaves. Like the name that he called the people that Pharaoh went out, the managers were actually called a leader of a gang of slaves. That was the name he gave these people. But yet in the middle of the oppression, they still had time for intimacy with their wives. Like to the point when the wives too were the point where they were able to multiply and expand.
Yeah.
To the point that like Pharaoh was so scared of everything going on that he drowned all the firstborn sons. But where he drowned them was so important. He drowned them in the Nile River. And if you know anything about the Nile River during that time, was that the river was their lifeline. The river was their life. That's where they bathed. That's where they got water. That's the systems they created around that to produce corn and agriculture. All of that stuff was the Nile River. Imagine your child being killed there. And I was trying to put myself in the woman's shoes and be able to like go to that river to do life, knowing the history behind what happened in that river, where my firstborn died. And then Moses' mom shows up with her 3-month-old that was supposed to die and did it. And she built an ark to put baby Moses on this river and had to lay down the thing she loved the most into this river that meant certain death because there were alligators, hippos, snakes.
Right.
And the history behind it. So she actually overcame her fear, her anxiety, her uncomfortability, her history, put the baby on this river, ended up touching Pharaoh's daughter, who, I don't know about you, this is the daughter of the king who murdered these babies. Mm-hmm. And they knew that he was a Hebrew baby because of him being circumcised. The Egyptians didn't circumcise until like 8 years later. But anyways, so they knew he was a Hebrew, and the mom, the Pharaoh's daughter actually gave the baby back to a Hebrew mom, which was Moses' mom.
Gosh.
And not only that, also paid her a wage to nourish her baby. And I'm sure it was a good wage because she's a princess, but I thought about it sounds good in Christian circles, lay down your life. It's no longer I who lives. Mm-hmm. But truly, there's a blessing that comes behind being able to be like, God, I'm putting this in your hands.
Yeah.
Even though there's history, even though there's fear, even though there's certain death here, I'm going to trust you and build something that you're telling me to do. And I'm going to put it down this river. And it comes back shaken together, pressed more than you can ever think of before. And as I'm reading this, I actually thought about you and what you shared last time about your house.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about it. Do you want to talk about it? Your house?
Oh, we got a house. We got that house.
But last video, what happened in our last podcast?
Oh, well, we talked about the anxiety I got.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
And I thought about you.
And for us, we didn't get it till we kind of fully surrendered it.
Yeah.
And then anyways, we got a call back saying, hey, do you still want the house? And we got it, and our rate was great. And but it was just, I think even so funny, Chris and I were talking about the house, and I think all you can agree with this. I think sometimes we think the truth or the promise, we think of the promised land, but we forget that, and this is the fun part for God, there's going to be giants in your promised land. Mm-hmm. I think we forget that aspect. Yeah. Every dream, every truth has to be established, every promise, you have to go in the land, but the fun part for God is the giants. Mm-hmm. I think we don't like that part.
Yeah.
Because this is what caused Joshua and Caleb, I think, to run in and not procrastinate, not hesitate, just run in. Because their full dependency was on, you're not fighting me, you're fighting big guy. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be the first one in.
Big guy being God.
Where, I think I'm stuttering. So we got this house, and it was so funny. And I was talking to my wife, and she was like, we were talking about, this is our promised land. And she's like, Abel, there's giants in there. And I'm like, that's what we want. Mm-hmm. We want the promised land with giants in it. Because I don't know if you remember the story of Caleb, when it came down to the last city, he wanted it. It was the best one, and there were giants in there. Mm-hmm. And Caleb pushed himself aside and said, that one's mine.
Come on.
That's my inheritance.
Come on.
I think so many of us, we look at our promises, our prophetic words, and we could see the territory, but I don't know what it is about the intimidation from our promises. Yeah. You take your promise, like you said. I think all of us have done what you've done, Nate, is we put it down to where it's comfortable now. Yeah. We can shrink it down. Like each one of us have, and everyone has really a promise to where He's called you to do things you can't do.
Come on.
If you're breathing, you're called to do things you shouldn't be able to do alone.
Come on.
Which is scary. So you're called, each one of us, you're called to a promised land where there's giants in there, and you can't rely, there's going to be a point where you can't rely on your capability at all. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you, this past week has been one of the hardest weeks of my life. Like getting this house, because I've wanted to hold on to so many things. I wanted to hold on and control it and make it easy. I wanted to make it easy.
Make it easy.
And like, God's like, I thought you wanted to make it fun. I'm like, this isn't fun anymore, God. I just had to be real with it. But it was really like, I wasn't owning the new, but I don't know,
it's
man.
Beautiful.
I was making excuses.
Yeah.
I was making excuses.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I was going with that.
But honestly, I feel like our excuses are justified.
Yeah.
You know, like even Moses' mom. Yeah, I wouldn't have blamed her for not putting her baby in there. She has every right.
Yeah.
History proved. You know, her neighbor proved it. Like talking about watching these women wail as they did laundry in there proved it. But she decided to lean on God's word. And the beautiful thing that I love there was God told her to make an ark. Like, why didn't she make a canoe or the Egyptian word for whatever their boats were?
Yeah.
She used the word ark, which meant that she knew about the story of Noah and Noah's ark, where, you know, he was an idiot building this giant this giant ship where it hasn't rained in years and he's never seen a boat before. But yet God was like, this is the first step. Let's do it.
Man.
You know? And so anyways, I don't feel like I have excuses down, but I'm having more fun trying to make a pathway, like trying to just start and make a clear pathway. God, is this a clear pathway? Yes or no? Yes, it's scary. Keep going. Okay. No. Why did you say no? I'm afraid. Hold me. I'm here to comfort you, you know? It sounds good now that I'm saying it, but this whole week I had moments where I blew up. Just to be honest with you, there's moments where I yelled at my wife in front of friends and I wasn't even aware. It wasn't like I walked through and I was like, ha ha ha, like I'm gonna, you know, yell at you. It was just like, I'm doing something. My brain, I'm a man. I have waffle brain. So I only have one square at a time that I can focus and give you my full attention. I'm overloaded, you know?
I'm with you. I blew up this week and I was it should have been the happiest time and it was, but at the same time I was like, what is it? Why am I anxious? Why am I, it's so funny. Every word we've gone through, I feel like I went through just in one day, these past 3 days, you know, like I went through repentance, anxiety, like all of them. But I think the foundation is, and this is what God told me, and this is, I was in unbelief.
Unbelief, wow.
And what I mean by unbelief is like, I don't trust how he wants to do it.
Say that again?
I'm holding on to my will. I think it goes back to I don't know what episode we did of Control. It's not going how I want it to go. Yeah. Even though he's going, it's going swimmingly.
But we don't wait in here for that word.
You know, I know. And oh man, yeah, it's been
the swimmingly word. Not once did I turn to God and I'm like, how are we doing here? Yeah. I turned to my wife a lot. Yeah. I was like, baby, like, how are we doing here with this door? How are we doing with this door? And she's like, it's perfect. And I'm like, you lie. You know, like, it's not perfect.
I think the war in all of us is the heavenly reality versus the earthly reality.
Come on.
You know, how he sees us versus how the world sees us, you know, and you know, the heart and versus the exterior, right? Yeah. And like, all he wanted this whole time was our hearts. So he had to squeeze the heck out of us. And it was hard. I gotta be honest, this was a hard week. It was hard, yeah. But we're here.
We did it.
We're here. We're getting it. But yeah.
Brewster, what are you thinking?
I'm happy we all had crappy weeks. I like that. Yeah. I think, I don't know. One thing that was highlighted when you guys were talking was like about my will. The days that I've been willing to give him my will have been way different than the days that or moments even. I don't even say whole days, I say moments, because some days will start like, yes, Lord. I was like waking up with my Bible on my chest. There's like Cinderella birds. And it's like, that's great. But then, you know, lunchtime hits and, you know, whatever. The bank says something about my card being lost. Whatever, you know, just little things, you know. And it like all compounds. But like if I'm willing to give him my will, then oftentimes that's like you were talking about even excuses. A lot of times boil down to priorities. It's like, oh, can you do this? Can you do this? Oh no, I can't because of da-da-da. But really the root of like where my excuses are coming from are like my priorities are such and such. And so if I prioritize my will above God's will, I'm gonna have a really crappy time. I'm gonna have a really crappy week because, and it's not about having a good week really, but like it's just what is gonna be beneficial to me serving me as a God or him as a God.
Come on now.
Do you know what's going to actually be a better kingdom to build? Nathaniel's kingdom or Christ's kingdom?
Come on.
And it's like, I can either build either one. And I've thought I've done a really good job with Nathaniel's kingdom, but I also have given him a shot here and there and been like, all right, God, you can have my will today. And even just driving alone is so humbling and it's so freeing and it's so powerful to be submitted to.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy is, I don't know if I shared this. One week, Kristen, who just graduated, congrats, Kristen.
Yeah, she's
graduated.
lawyer
My
now,
wife.
right?
Yes, dude. But one week we're sitting in a meeting and she was like, I just submitted my last assignment. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, dude. I was like, to submit an assignment, you have to, you're turning it in. Mm-hmm. You're completely letting go of it.
Yeah.
So everything that you've done, you said, here, you can have it, professor.
Wow.
And I thought of the word submit like I never had before. And so to submit my will to God means to hand over my will to God, no matter what it looks like, and say, it's in your hands now. So for me to take, I'm telling you, I've had the best priorities, no excuses, the best time that felt the most rich life and life abundantly when I submit my will to him and say, here's my will, I give it to you. You can have it. I take my hands off of it.
Beautiful.
And it's not like everything magically disappears.
No.
But there's a way that you walk through it knowing that it's not the way, there's not that,
The weight
of it is not on you. The thing is not even about, it's not even about not being heavy. I don't care too much about not being heavy. I'm very strong. I can carry heavy things. But it's more so about, this is the only chance I'll get to worship him like this.
Yeah.
Because one day I'm going to see him face to face and I won't have this opportunity. One day I'm going to be in heaven and there's not going to be stress. I'm going to be in heaven. There's not going to be anything to worry about. It's not going to be taxes coming around
Angels
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
Coming to
saying?
collect.
Yeah, for sure. It's not going to be that. There's not going to be the fear of another child being born or that stuff. It's there's not going to be that in heaven. So this is the only chance I get to be afraid and be terrified and still say, "Ooh, guess what? I choose you." You gotta cherish that.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to, but for me, I'm learning cherish that. In the midst of all this, can I still worship you? And this is the most precious thing. I can only give you this in this time. Because once we get to heaven, I'm not gonna be worried about Jack.
Can you take the roof off worship? You said worship 3 times. What does that mean?
To me, I mean, there's a bunch of different words for it, but the first time I remember being mentioned was when someone was going to sacrifice their only son, who was representing the promise, talking about prophetic words. It's he was the fulfilled prophetic word. And then it was all right, we're going to go up on this hill and worship. And this son was where's our sacrifice? And so to me, the definition of worship is sacrifice. And then Romans 12 is a living sacrifice. And, there's musical worship. I mean, I love music. It's beautiful. But if you don't bring something to burn, you're not really worshiping. So living your will, your emotions, your intentions, all this stuff, this squirming life you have, it's if you could bring that to lay down, that's a good definition for worship.
It's beautiful. Chop?
I like Benny. Benny, is it Johnson?
I thought you meant Benny, your dog.
She used the word kiss.
Kiss.
Yeah.
Kiss. And then someone said this, and I found this to be true. It's you worship whatever you enjoy the most.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. For worship, I think it's just intimacy. But the thing with it is it's whatever you enjoy the most. That's
whatever you enjoy the most.
To me, that's just it.
That's beautiful.
That's just it. Because you can worship, but if it's not everything to you, then it's really not worship.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good.
Do you know what I mean?
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
100%.
It does. I love it because back in Exodus, the people who Pharaoh first talked to was the midwives. And the midwives were servant girls who were helping give birth to the Hebrew people. But it said that the midwives feared the Lord. And I don't know. I was I'm not afraid of God. Why are they using this word? And I looked up the word in the Hebrew, and it actually means to worship God reverently. Mm-hmm. And I was man, what does worship mean? I love that, to enjoy God above everything, to the point where they went up and Pharaoh saw that the Hebrew people kept multiplying. So he was midwives, what's your excuses? What's going on? And they were well, the Hebrew women give birth faster than the Egyptian people. So by the time we get there, it's too late. And it said that because they chose to fear God or worship God more, they got blessed with their own household. Yeah. And back in that time, if you were a servant or if you were a woman, to have a household was literally a miracle from God. There's no way they were allowed to have their own household. And so I think about these places of I think worship is such a key until not running into excuses. What do you enjoy more?
Well, sorry, I'm gonna cut you off.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
Using even these things as an excuse to worship. Like this is just an excuse. Like, this podcast is an excuse to worship.
Come on.
To enjoy you during this. Like we got together for this and like this is all just an excuse to enjoy each other, right? And it's like we can use that. We can use anything as an excuse to worship him, an invitation to be present with him and enjoy his presence and to put his presence above everything else in our lives. Like anything we can worship with, you know, if we allow it to be.
And there's miracles because of that. When you worship God, when you truly enjoy God in those moments where your barn door is off by 5/8.
Yeah. And I think even with that, like worry evaporates. When you truly, like when Nate says, when we surrendered our will, that's when worry evaporated. Like that's when it just, when you had our hearts, I'll just be honest with you. But getting to that point, I think that was the hard part. That's where we have to be when the notice comes or when I got this and I'm angry, I'm this. I think you have to be vulnerable in those moments and not hide it.
That's good.
I think that's the biggest key of like, I'm angry right now. I'm in fear. I'm short with my wife. I want to grab my 2-year-old and put him in the closet. You know, like these are the real emotions I experience in less than 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's like, but like Nate said, I have there's such a precious moment from God's perspective of like I'm going through that, but here's God's perspective.
You're so right.
I really believe that.
You're so right.
Because we got to flip the tape.
Oh, I don't know.
Flip the tape. Thank you, Jack.
Love you, baby.
This is going to be in there with you walking out, by the way. Good.
God's
Tape is flipped.
God perspective?
No, just God's perspective. I think, Colossians 3 says, like, set your mind on things above. Yearn, feast, fill, flood yourself with heavenly realities. And, like, that's an opportunity to own the heavenly reality, which is he's God, I'm not. Do you know what I mean? His will, like there's my opportunity to worship, to engage with him, which means to really embrace truth, which is, and this is for me, like, I think Jackie said last time, you have to have a truth. You have to be in the Word of God. And the one I've been going to over and over and over again is just simple truth of I've been crucified with Christ. So this should not be heavy.
So simple.
So I've just been going back and meditating on that and taking every part of this buying process through that. I've been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I. So it's so.
Yeah.
Why is this owning me? I've just been going back to it and back to it and back to it. And that's been like kind of the fuel of like, getting it to really, I can enjoy his will.
Come on.
And not holding on to my will. And I've been saying that thing so much in the past 5 days.
That's beautiful, Chavo.
But yeah. What do you say?
I love how you said God's perspective, because to be vulnerable, I looked it up because God woke me up one day and he was like, I want you to be vulnerable with your wife. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be vulnerable. And then I Googled it. And it means to be subject to harm.
There it is.
That's what vulnerable means. You could be subject to harm and pain. Yeah. And God was like, you're going to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's cool. Like, let's do it. And then I think about Moses going down that river. In God's perspective, and in the mom's perspective, that baby was so vulnerable to everything, even the end result. But God's perspective was, you're going to touch the Pharaoh's wife, and then she's going to have compassion because a miracle is going to take place. So he's going to live, and you're also going to get paid for it. It just blows my mind when we're willing to be vulnerable with God. Yeah.
And he, I'll say it again, like his perspective in that point, I don't think he gets any happier than like when we go through that. Like for him, it's like, I'm getting my encounter. Like he's getting the part of our heart that we could never get if we weren't going through it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
That's what you said.
What?
About that. Like you'll never be able to get this encounter once we get in heaven because like we're already there.
Oh yeah. No, I got so lost because I have this train game on my phone that Levi loves to play. And we're like new. This is like his first ever phone game. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Please don't. If you have anything about kids and phone, I don't know. So tell me. But he loves it and I love him. So freak out of here. So anyway, so he'll wake up and he's like, let's play this game. So I'll let him play the game. And then in the middle of something, I'll ask him to do something like, because I don't want it to become like a god to him. Yeah. So I'll be like, hey, can you put it down for a second and then come whatever. And he's like, okay, Dad. Yes. And I'm like, it makes me want to give him more of it. So I'm like, I'm just kidding. You can play some more if you want. I just want to see. But like, there's something about when he's willing to, like, because there are other times where I'd be like, hey, can you put it down? He's like, he's like the little kid from The Omen. He's like, I'm just kidding. Edit that part. but like there are times where I see it affect him differently, and like it's not because I don't want him to enjoy the game. It's because I don't like what the game is doing to him.
Yeah.
And there are some times that God will put things in our hand, and He's like, I want you to be able to enjoy this, and then He'll see it affect us, and and it's like I'll say from a father's perspective, it's so hard to see. Like I know like a lot of like young people will get in relationships and they'll date somebody, and that they'll become their God. And it's not that your father doesn't want you to have a relationship. It's just like they doesn't want someone who's not going to lead you. I don't know. I won't get into that. That's part of, let's say Netflix instead or something. You know, it's like when that becomes my God and when that becomes my source of life, or whatever, it's like that can kill me inside. Like I've seen how it affects Levi, and I'm like, I don't want that for you because I care about your health. I care about your heart. And so many times we're like, well, yeah, I'll just leave it there. But that's what I was daydreaming about when you were talking, was like, there's some things that I've been trusted with that sometimes I let become my God. And when I'm willing to submit my will to Him, and let him be my God, I see Him trust me with even more things. Yeah. It's so funny. The cycle is like, God, I love you, I trust you, and He gives you more. And then it's like, now I'm so overwhelmed. And you go back to like, all right, well, I love you, I trust you. It's like, oh, now I give you more. And He gives you more. It's like, all right, this is way too much, God. I had enough. And He's like, but no, I love you, I trust you. It's like, there's this cycle of like, there's never really arrive of like, okay, now I won't be stressed. There's going to be constant options to like make something your God. But if you're willing to submit your heart to God and prioritize being present with Him and enjoying Him above everything else, then like, goodness gracious.
It's good.
I love that, because then you get the task done, but you enjoy it the whole time. Like, I think that was the biggest thing that I've learned doing this, was like, there were moments where I wanted to punish myself, and I was, and then God was there. Like, the minute I turned towards God, He was there to He's like, can I just love you for a second? Mm-hmm. And this is where like I love you guys and these podcasts that we do, because I actually stop to say, yes, like, love me right now. Where before I'm like, that's such a great idea. And then I'll keep on working, you know, and I'll miss out on like this feeling and this moment that goes past my understanding and makes me feel happy. Yeah. You know, while I miss it by 5/8 of an inch. Right. You know, so Chaba.
No, that's good. I think even like just going back to the word like excuses, you know, and I think if we were to break everything out, like what we all said, the Holy Spirit's job is to guide us into all truth. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And Jesus is the way, the truth. We know these scriptures, but you don't know until you go through something. Yeah. You know what I mean? And in that moment, I think all three of us, and this is why I love you guys, is I have a chance to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And I know we have to go back to that word, but I think the key thing that if God wants our hearts, we have to be transparent. Mm-hmm. That's scary. Yeah. Like, I'll even be honest, even with you two. And I think the more I'm transparent with you two, actually, the better I become. Mm-hmm. Like when I can share, like, Nate, I want to show you this, but I'm scared. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I get blessed when I do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think there's such a key to the transparency with God. And if you have people around you, you know, this is why you pray for that God would give you Joshua and Caleb's. Like you two, I have two Joshua and Caleb's here. Mm-hmm. I can tell you my prophetic words, and you'll say, "Hey, well, you're a dead bear," and I'm like, "Okay, I haven't been acting like a dead bear." Like I need that. I need that because that causes me. What this podcast has done, I can't wait once I'm getting my prophetic words. I just want to sit and dream again. Like, just to be honest.
Okay, let's do it.
I just want to sit and dream, because I think it's in 1 Timothy or 2 Timothy where Paul tells about prophetic words, and he says, meditate on it until you become it. And it says, until people could see it on you. Wow. And I think that's where we're headed, that God wants, where I don't want to hear about king, and I can look at him and go, that's a king right there, because I see it. You know, that's a warrior right there, because you ever gone shopping with that guy? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like... Yeah. And I want to hear you, Rafa. Thank you for sharing about the barn door, because I realize, and we all know this, Denzel Washington, if you're not failing, you haven't even begun to try. There's so many things I'm not even attempting. So I kind of want to look into my prophetic words, but that's all.
Yeah, I love you. You know, and at the end, once the door was off by 5/8 of an inch, I was like, Bebe, what do you think? She was like, it's beautiful. And then I was like, throw it in the trash. And she was like, well, can we keep it and make artwork out of it? And I was like, I hate it. And then she was like, you want to go get some tacos?
It's good.
And I was like, I like tacos. You know, so I think too, like in these moments of failure, that can't be, whatever the task is, can't be your God.
Yeah.
You know, if not, you'll miss out on the tacos of life.
Yeah. And if it is breaking you, you just found out it might be your God.
It's good though to know that stuff. I love that
Yes,
stuff.
right?
Such a good
There it is.
awareness.
Praise Jesus. I
on.
found out this
High
house
five.
thing.
Yeah.
But as soon as, like I said, we finally like surrendered our will, it was ours. You know, it's like God's like you said, he's like, oh, I can give you more now.
Yes.
Because it wasn't our God.
Yeah.
It wasn't our God. But he sees it.
He does.
You can act it all you want, but he wants the real deal.
Come on.
Do you guys have any? I have a question for you guys, and I think it's a good way to end, especially for our viewers. Is there a way how you guys take inventory of your heart?
Take inventory of my heart.
Of when it comes to being real with God? Of like, okay, I'm angry. I mean, how do you begin this process how do you begin the process of submitting?
Journaling.
Ooh.
So the first,
that's good.
So journaling, and then I always practice with people.
Okay.
So if I'm having trouble talking to God, I'll practice with people.
Okay.
And so I'll call Alex, I'll call you guys, and I'll be like, this is what's going on in my heart. And I'll share that. And if I can't do that because I'm too scared, then I go to journaling. So I'm like my last resort, honestly. And what I'll do is I'll write as if I'm going to burn it. Sometimes I'll actually bring matches in the room, and I'll just write. And then whatever comes out, I say, dear God, or dear Jesus, dear Holy Spirit, or dear Nathaniel. And I'll just write. And whatever comes out, I'm allowed to see like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was in there.
Wow.
And then I either burn it or I'll bring it to God. But I will also leave space for the Holy Spirit to talk back.
That's good.
And then sometimes at least, like once that comes out on paper, I'll bring it to you guys, or I'll bring it to Alex or something, and be like, hey, help me out with this. And then Alex will send it to Jesus, and then they'll be like, okay, cool. So it's like, it's so funny because the closer I get to you guys, the closer you guys bring me to God, and the closer I get to God, he'll bring me back to you guys. There's no like separation of, I'm just going to go be close to God now, bump everyone else. Or I'm just going to spend time with people and forget about God. There's a connection there.
It's beautiful.
That's good.
Same. I think for me, Jackie gave me this 5 people rule, my wife. So it was like, you have 5 people that are going to love you unconditionally, no matter what you bring them. And so if anything's going on them, those are the 5 people you guys are the 5 people that I can trust to give me your outside perspective, but also love me through the whole thing. And so having my 5 people that you trust, because if not, then you start telling everybody, and not everybody really cares.
Yeah.
You know, you have
or they'll give you the wrong,
or they'll give you the wrong thing. You got to have your 5 people that truly, truly care about you.
That's good.
You know, and then no matter what, you know, and then the other one is I ask God for a word. I keep it simple. With me, when I was living my life and I wanted to commit suicide, I knew that all my thoughts had led to death. But the minute that I encountered God and I didn't kill myself, gave him my whole heart, submitted my will to him, gave him everything, I started having great thoughts and happy thoughts. So the way that I do inventory, if it's an evil thought, then it came from me. And if it's a good thought, it came from God. So I keep it pretty simple. So I always go to God and I'm like, what's your simple word for today? And that's how I have inventory. And then I'll wake up and he's like, oh, today you're going to be vulnerable.
It's good.
So that's just the 2 easy avenues that I go through. So how about you?
That's good. No, similar to you guys. For me, same thing. Holy Spirit, he gives me a word. Mm-hmm. And like that word, I ask him to convict me of it. Because like, obviously, you know, if something came up, like I'm not a dead bear. So I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, what does this look like?
Yeah.
And that has to become greater. So I let the Holy Spirit kind of take my imagination. But the other thing too is that what you just said, journaling. Because I think there's something happens when you external process.
External, yeah.
Because there's something so powerful when you external process with God and with people you love, where you realize, oh my God, you didn't know. It's like you didn't know what was there. And I think there's something so powerful to that, where, you know, I think someone who's not an external processor, the more I do it with people I love and with God, I believe I get more freedom.
It's true.
And I get more, oh, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Where when I don't external process, it's easy to hide what's not going on. Where when I external process, I'm like, there it is. Yeah. Right. There's my dirt. I found the dirt. Now, you guys, what do you guys think of this? Here's my dirty laundry, all of it.
And your clean laundry.
You know, and my clean laundry, but like, let's face it, God wants to talk about the dirty laundry.
He does.
That's his favorite, you know. But I think that's key.
It's beautiful.
That's good.
Yeah. Cool. Well, do you guys feel we took the roof off excuse, even just a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. And I think you guys just really excited me.
Yeah, that's how I feel. You
guys excited me, and I think Nate brought an aspect where we could keep talking, but how do we flip it the other way?
Yeah,
to where I now have an excuse to enjoy him. I have an excuse to own the new. I have an excuse to enjoy the people around me, and there's the positive route.
That's beautiful.
You know?
Yeah.
I just remember, no, I probably shouldn't chat. We don't have time, but
What?
I
Go for it.
remember at your wedding when we were cleaning up stuff.
Yeah.
We were cleaning up stuff at the inn, and I was like, "Oh, Megan's staying. I gotta help clean up." And it was like I gave her a piggyback ride. I was
You were
like-
so excited.
I was milking that. Like, I don't want to clean up a stupid wedding. I don't even like it anyway. It was so hot that day, dude. I was so sad. But like, she was staying to help. I think JR was staying, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I could help. Do you need me to carry you on my back?" It was like,
And now she's your
And then
wife.
boom,
yeah, my
baby
God.
later.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I love you guys.
Any last words for the viewers?
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We just love you.
Yeah, and I encourage you, what Nate said too, if you don't know where to start by journaling. Even if you're not a journaler. I'm not a journaler,
Same.
but I journal.
Yeah.
I write. And I have terrible spelling, terrible grammar,
Yeah.
but God gets my heart when I do it. And I think that's the key.
Yeah.
At least that's a big one for me.
I'm not
Love
a
it.
journaler either. I'm just really good at lying to myself. So that's why I journal.
That's
I tell myself the truth.
Come on.
Savage. I love it.
I love you guys.
Love you.
No Roof, we love you. We'll see you next time.
Hit it.
Dude.